So thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Meaghan Oppenheimer, the showrunner and executive producer of Tell Me Lies, season two. She created season one. Now we're in season two. It's premiering on Hulu on September 4th, 2024 with the first two episodes. It continues all the tumultuous lies, sex stories of the first season and adds a few new characters. So I'm very excited to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So you created, season one. I assume that you always kind of envisioned this as a longer story arc, especially with what happened at the end of season one. But, did you always have this as a multi-season series in mind?
Yeah, I did. When I first had pitched the show to Hulu, I had to lay out, some possible storylines for later seasons. So that was always the hope.
Awesome. And so I know the novel takes place over the course of like 8 years or so. But I assume you had to make some changes to kind of fit this into a show. Were there any changes that you made to the story for season two specifically to kind of like flesh it out, maybe make some of the characters a little bit different, maybe update them a little bit to current times?
Yeah, I mean, so the plot in season two is entirely new. There's actually none, nothing is taken from the book because it doesn't. I mean, it does go further actually in the book, but we didn't use that story from the book. So yeah, it's completely new. The book was amazing, but it needed to be changed dramatically only because the book is really entirely internal dialogue between Lucy and Stephen, and it's just kind of what they're thinking. And so we had to put more plot in and make the other characters bigger just so that, we could externalize the world a bit more.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense. A series about internal dialogue might be an interesting, experiment, but probably not like the most engaging TV show to watch. So
It
that
would
makes
be a lot
perfect
of
sense.
voiceover. It would be a lot of voiceover, but it was great in the book. It was a great read.
At least you would know what people are actually thinking. Like, that might be interesting for a series called about Tell Me Lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we're in a new semester at Baird College. Were there any personal experiences that you put in to like, for this season, like your own personal experiences in college or things that you've heard about to kind of like flesh this story out?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, there's a lot that's inspired by experiences I've had, not maybe exactly the same, obviously, but I think we've all been in really dysfunctional relationships before, or we've seen our friends be in them. I think, and also within the writers' room, we talk a lot about our personal experiences. So everything that happens in season two, is pulled from some degree of truth, I would say.
There's a little bit of truth in Tell Me Lies season two. I love it.
Yeah.
And so this season was greenlit pretty much after season one happened. What was it like delving back into this world? Did you just basically kind of like jump right in? Did you get a little time to yourself to kind of like think and plan, or did you just like start right into season two?
I didn't have much of a break, because I was editing this season up until the moment we premiered last season one. I after we wrap, I'm still editing for months. So by the time we premiered, I had still been working. And then once we got the green light, I had to start kind of, interviewing writers pretty quickly. So I got a couple months off, but yeah, it wasn't a big break. It wasn't a big break.
Well, I guess hopefully you're doing what you love, so maybe you don't need a break.
I mean,
Uh,
you do need a break, but I do.
so we get some new characters in season two, Tom Ellis and Thomas Doherty, both Toms. I guess maybe you were like Tom. When you were writing season two and some of these characters, did you have these people in mind, or did you, did they just like randomly come into or come in and play these characters?
So for the character of Leo, our 20th casting executive, Stephanie, actually pitched Thomas, and I watched his material and I was like, he's great. And he was the only person we did do a chem read with him and Grace, but he was the only person we saw, and he was just fantastic right away. And then Tom Ellis is actually my husband in real life, so that's why that's not why he got the role, but again, it's someone else's initial idea. I'd already come up with the character in my head, and someone else was like, what if Tom plays this? And I thought it at first I was like, oh, that would be crazy. And then I was like, oh, actually, he'd be great. So I was really excited when he agreed to come on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess it was really easy to write him because you know him very well, so that makes perfect sense.
It did
Uh,
definitely, affect the dialogue writing once I had his voice in my head.
and so I know season two is coming out very soon, but I'm sure people are wondering, is there any inclination of a season three? Will we have to see how season two does before we hear that?
Yeah, we'll just have to see how season two does before we know.
Well, that
But
makes
yeah.
perfect sense. We will hold with bated breath, but while you're waiting for if season three comes, check out season two of Tell Me Lies, which premieres on Hulu on September 4th, 2024. This is Meaghan Oppenheimer, the showrunner and executive producer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.